Yeah, that's it.
Mr. Chairman, we are now recording and ready to begin the meeting whenever you're ready.
Perfect. Sounds good. All right. I would like to, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Metro Plan Orlando Municipal Advisory Committee meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. My name is Keith Trace, and I will be chairing the meeting today. We also have a team of folks working to ensure the meeting runs as smoothly as possible for us in the room and those joining us online. As we continue to meet in person, all committee members are required to be present here in the Metro Plan Orlando boardroom, while staff will continue to stream our meetings online for the public access. We actually do have a couple folks joining online today too. But up first, it is time for the Pledge of Allegiance. And today I ask Commissioner Smith to lead us in the pledge. And then he said he wanted to do the national anthem, but we'll hold off on that until next meeting. All right. This morning, if we'll keep our microphones muted unless you have been recognized to speak, I do ask that all committee members activate your microphones before speaking and then turn them off when you are complete. As a reminder, the microphone is turned on and off by pressing the blue button, the one with a little talking face on it, located on the screen in front of you. There are 2 public comment points in the meeting. Members of the public participating virtually who would like to speak can use the raise hand feature on your Zoom screen. If you are attending by phone, hit the *9 to request to be recognized. We also accepted comments by email and phone message before the meeting. Guidelines for those public comments are posted at metroplanorlando.org/virtual meetings. We want this and all future meetings to be accessible by all. Participants may join by computer, tablet, or phone. If you need accommodations to participate in the future, please contact Metro Plan Orlando staff. Today we have a new member, and they are joining virtually. It is the Town of Windermere Councilman Tony Davitt. He was unable to join in person and requested this as an excused absence, but he is online virtually. Perfect. And then Longwood Commissioner Brian Sackett is also online virtually. Another update is Belle Isle Commissioner Stan Smith is sitting in for Mayor Foraker this morning. Welcome. And then Mayor Dowless let us know he will be arriving late as well. At this time, I would like to recognize Alex Trauger of Metro Plan Orlando staff for our agenda review.
Good morning, everyone. Chairman Trace, members, and everyone joining online. As the chairman noted, we do have a few new MAC members joining us virtually today. So thank both Commissioner Sackett and Councilman Davitt for joining us virtually, both once we come to that time in the agenda after we achieve a quorum, there is a vote to excuse those absences. That would be an appropriate time for that. As the chair mentioned, thank you again, Commissioner Smith, for joining us today, sitting in for Mayor Foraker. So thank you. Also, right after this, I know Kathy had reached out to some of our new members. We are having an orientation for new members and for anyone else who wants to kind of learn more a little about Metro Plan Orlando. I think I've had most of those one-on-ones with each of you. But again, that invitation is open to you. We've already made the post. And I'll be sitting down with Commissioner Smith afterwards. So you're more than welcome. And again, it has been posted to meet sunshine requirements. I do have relating to your action items today. Your second action item is actually our 2023 board and committee schedule. There was one change to that schedule based on our technical committees. Last week, our technical advisory committee and systems management and operations committee moved their May meeting date to May 19th. That's the only change to that 2023 meeting schedule. We're still working with our board, so one of our board meeting times or dates may fluctuate mid next year, but we'll be coordinating with our committees and board on that. But as it pertains to MAC in the meetings for 2023, those dates, unless you have any concerns at that time when we come to action, you can go ahead and pencil those in to your personal calendars to make sure we have you for those 8 times in 2023. Also, a couple staffing announcemements. I believe at our last meeting, I made an announcement that Metro Plan brought on 2 new transportation planners, but at the time, they were actually at the Florida Planning Conference, which was taking place here in Florida. So we are joined by both of them today. The first, Jason Sartorio. Jason's one of our new transportation planners. You'll be getting to know Jason really well next year. Keith Caskey from our staff, who has traditionally, historically, I guess you could say, handled our transportation improvement program, is retiring next year. And Jason's going to be picking up the reins as it relates to managing our transportation improvement program. So as we have amendments and we're adopting that document, you'll be hearing a lot from Jason in the future. We also have Slade Downs joining us today. Slade's another one of our transportation planners, focus on active transportation and safety, dabbling in a little health as well. Slade joins us from the Sarasota Manatee MPO. So he has familiarity with the MPO process, and that's super helpful as he's come onto the team. My last staffing announcement, and it's really specific to the Municipal Advisory Committee, is beginning next year. Sarah Larson, to my left, will be assuming the MAC liaison role. I'll still be involved, with your meetings, likely in the audience on the TIP, long range plan, PPL, but Sarah will be here at the table working with you month to month, serving as that liaison in addition to Lisa and Kathy. So I'll let Sarah introduce herself here. Yeah, let's do that.
Thanks, Alex. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah Larson. I'm a transportation planner with Metro Plan Orlando. You may have seen me here before. I presented on the health strategic plan earlier this year. And then also I work closely with Lynx and Sunrail as Metro Plan's transit liaison. So that's my focus here at Metro Plan. I'm looking forward to taking on my new role as MAC liaison next year. But before I do that, I have another new role to take on, which is motherhood. So I'll be joining you all after my maternity leave is over. Thank you. Thank you.
So Sarah will be shadowing, joining me up until her maternity leave. And then when she returns, we'll be passing those reins on to her. So looking forward to that in a new place as well. Last announcement I have, actually another MAC specific one, relates to our chair. And Chairman Trace has, I guess, selected not to seek re-election in the city of St. Cloud, and thus his term is coming to an end, I believe, mid-November. So this is his last municipal advisory committee with us. He'll be sitting in as a voting member on our board next week, but this is his last MAC meeting. I will certainly miss you, honestly. I think we have a 10-year relationship now, coming from our community advisory committee into your elected role here on MAC. Council member Trace really led us through our pandemic days, meeting 100% virtually, led us through kind of meeting into that hybrid role. We all know the challenges and what we went through during that time, and then brought us back into in person. So again, thank you for your patience and kind of helping us row along as we're continuing our meetings over the past 2 years. Based on the MAC bylaws, the vice chair really ascends into the chair role, and the MAC, which is Mayor Dallas, will be joining us here shortly. So Mayor Dallas will assume that chair role following really at the December MAC meeting. He'll kind of roll right into that. And then the MAC, based on your bylaws, you will have in your May meeting in 2023. That's when the MAC selects a new slate and reviews your bylaws. So in that will be when you'll appoint a new vice chair and new chair as formally as a slate. But that's kind of continuity of operations. But I do want to kind of extend our thanks and gratitudes for your participation in our process over the past decade. So thank you with that. Other than that, as always, please RSVP Lisa and Kathy as we're meeting in person. We want to ensure we have a quorum. Never really a challenge with this one, but we appreciate knowing well in advance of your plans to participate, or if you're going to have an alternate join us in these times. With that, we are joined, last staffing change, Anna Taylor sitting in for Rakinia Hinson today for the Florida Department of Transportation. But with that, we have no other changes to the agenda, and I'll go ahead and ask Ms. Goldfarb to call the roll.
I'll ask all committee members to keep microphones muted until called. Anderson,
Here.
Guthrie,
Here.
Gardner,
Here.
Davitt,
Here.
Dallas, Sackett,
Here.
Gerstner, Stan Smith for 4 Acre,
Here.
Henson,
Here.
McCann,
Here.
Ramos, Sladek,
I did the wrong one. I'm here. Thank you for the assist.
Jordan Smith,
Here.
Trace.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much. Welcome aboard, new staff members, and congratulations on the staffing changes. Up next, we will hear public comments on action items. Do we have anyone that wishes to speak on any of these items? If so, please use the raise hands function on your screen or press *9 on your phone keypad. When we call your name, the host will unmute your microphone. You will see a button pop up that says host wants to unmute you. Please accept that prompt and activate your microphone. We ask that you provide your name and address for the record and keep your comments to 2 minutes or less. Do we have any public comments at this time?
There are no
Mr.
hands
Chair.
raised on the virtual side, Mr. Chair.
I completely
We
forgot
did
about
not
that.
receive any in advance of the meeting or any in writing.
All right. And none in writing. Okay. Following up on the roll call, did we want to take a motion to excuse the in-person requirement for Commissioner Sackett and Councilman Davitt?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion, and who got the second? All right, motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like side. All right, that passes unanimously. Up next is our agency reports. Up first, because we had the switch, let's have Miss Anna Taylor with FDOT District 5. Take it away.
Good morning. Anna Taylor with FDOT District 5. Wanted to thank all of our partners for making Mobility Week last week a huge success. We had lots of activities happening all over the district. You can go online still and see our interactive conference room. And you can actually see all the activities that took place statewide, trying to encourage our Floridians to use other modes of transportation. So thank you to all of your municipalities who took part in that, and also a huge thank you to Lynx. The work program development cycle is underway and wrapping up. We have been working with MPOs and our municipal partners to confirm all of the projects that will be considered in this year's funding cycle. We are currently working on confirming our date to bring forward the presentation to all of the committees and the boards. We hope to have that solidified soon. However, as always, we will have our work program public hearing online for the week of December 5th through the 9th. All projects will be listed online by county. You can see it in a document format, or you can use the interactive map to find projects, even by using your home address. You can link yourself right to your own community. As always, district staff will be available the night of December 6th at the district office in DeLand to come and see all of the documents on display or get any of your questions answered by staff directly. I know we've been talking a lot about cost increases and navigating the market. We did want to continue to encourage our MPOs to be flexible as we are seeing cost increases. Through the work program development cycle, we did do our A-list updates, which is our current year projects, the current work program projects. That would be fiscal years 23 through 27. We did see an average of 25% cost increases on most of those projects. So again, just asking for flexibility as we navigate unusual times. And that really completes my report, unless anyone has questions.
All right, thank you very much. Are you able to send that link to Mr. Strager and have him send it out to all of us?
The link
To
for
the-
the work program public hearing?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That
If-
map, everything.
Yeah, absolutely. We will actually formally announce that. All of you through your elected officials' emails should get an email from the district secretary letting you know that the work program public hearing is underway. But we'll absolutely do that also through the MPO. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions? All right, seeing none, we will move on to links. Mr. Cody Johnson.
Hey there, good morning, everyone. I'll first go ahead and start off with just a ridership update. Our average weekday ridership is currently sitting at 56,568 riders per day. That's up from roughly about 54,000 that I reported the last time we met in September. So we are continuing to see kind of that trend upwards, recovering from the lows that we experienced during the COVID-19 pandemic around March 2020. We're currently at 72% pre-pandemic levels. So our highest ridership day actually was recorded on Tuesday, October 25th, which was our Tri-Transit Tuesday, a part of Mobility Week. We had 60,528 riders on that day alone, which is our highest ridership day since the COVID-19. So it was a great success on the link side. We do have a service change coming up in December, taking into effect on December 5th. And besides our minor tweaks and schedule adjustments that we often make just to improve performance, there are three highlights I kind of want to highlight that I think are relevant to this committee. First, we'll be adding a new route called the Link 612. That will run and service Narcoossee Road from US 192 up to Lake Nona, just to the east of the city of St. Cloud. That will have hour headways every weekday, Saturday and Sunday. So it's cool. Our Neighbor Link 651 in the city of Sanford will expand into downtown Sanford. And then the Neighbor Link 622 in the city of Oviedo will expand south. I have maps with me. All that information can also be found on the Link's website. We held 3 public hearings before we approved those service changes, and we're currently conducting outreach to our passengers on the bus, signs posted everywhere on the buses and at the transit centers. Our 2022-2023 origin and destination survey actually began today. I talked a little bit about it in the last MAC meeting, but this is an origin and destination survey. We'll have surveyors riding all of our transit vehicles starting today until about March 2023, just asking our passengers how they're using the system, where they're coming to and from, What type of fare are they using, just typical things about how they're using the system. We'll be also asking some demographic data for some different demographic information as well. So if you ride transit, you will see them. Please talk to them and let them know. But that concludes my report. So.
All right. Do we have any questions for Mr. Johnson? All right. Up next, Mr. Fine with FTE.
Good morning. One quick update. FTE is holding a public hearing for the Western Beltway widening from I-4 to Sidell Road. So the public hearing registration and project displays are available online, and the website is www.sr429i4to-sidell.com. So the two options are on December 6th is a virtual / phone-in option. So you can attend online or you can call in and just hear the information. And also on December 7th at 5:30 p.m., both December 6th and December 7th is 5:30 p.m. Is the in-person option. And this will take place at the Advent Health Nicholson Center in Celebration, Florida. But attached to your agenda is a kind of project information handout, but it also outlines the different ways that you guys can participate in the public hearing. That being said, that is the end of my report.
All right. Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Fine? Hopefully I-4 widening in that area kind of happens at the same time as 429 widening, because that stretch of I-4 is kind of a mess. All right. Up next, we have two action items. Our first item is approval of the MAC minutes from September 2022. These can be viewed in tab 1 of your agenda packets. Does anyone have any amendments to that?
No, but I move we approve them.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Motion was made by.
Sorry,
Sladik
Sladik and second by McCann. And then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like side. All right, item passes unanimously. Next item is approval of the 2023 meeting schedule. The proposed calendar is in your agenda packet in tab 2. The MAC is set to meet 8 times in 2023. Meetings are scheduled to occur the Thursday prior to the MPO board meeting at 9:30. We did have one slight change to it on one of the different committees, but our dates are still the same as what is presented in tab 2. Do I hear a motion for approval of our 2023 meeting schedule?
Second.
All right, motion by Mayor Henson, second by Mayor Sladik. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like side. All right, item passes unanimously. We have one informational presentation today. First, we will hear a presentation on the active transportation plan and information on the findings from the initial workshops. Ms. Taylor Laurent from Metro Plan Orlando staff will be presenting today. Take it away.
Thank you and good morning. Again, my name is Taylor Laurent. I'm the manager of transportation planning here at Metro Plan Orlando, as well as the project manager of the active transportation plan. I'll be joined in a moment by my colleague Slade Downs, who is the deputy project manager. Next slide. Oh, that's me. New technology, it's always changing. So today I'm going to give you an introduction and overview of the active transportation plan project, followed by a summary of the workshops that we held last week with the Citizens Advisory Committee, as well as the Technical Advisory Committee. And I'm going to start at the beginning. So some of us may not have worked on an active transportation plan before. This is your first time working with one. So the active transportation plan is a comprehensive set of strategies to provide better options for walking and bicycling, including access to transit throughout our region. And this is typically meant to identify infrastructure, policies, and processes based on public and stakeholder input, as well as those from our committees and other engaged parties, to achieve the desired goals throughout the region. And when we're talking about those goals, I mentioned a phrase, better options, that in the context of our discussion today is going to mean safety as well as comfort. So that's a topic we're going to be unpacking a lot more as we develop the project. So as we move forward and develop the active transportation plan, we're really going to focus on a detailed assessment of the active transportation facilities within our region, those that are existing as well as those that are planned, and use those to identify a feasible active transportation network to provide on the MPO roadway system and other off-network corridors such as utility alignments if those are feasible. And at the completion of the active transportation plan, the network will be incorporated directly into the 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan, which will be where we will then prioritize and assign those regional funding allocations. I know it seems a little early to talk about 2050, but we're actually going to be starting that long-range planning process within the next 2 years. So it's coming a lot sooner than it seems. So the active transportation plan project will be performed in about 5 different key tasks, which I will describe on the next several slides in more detail. Beginning with task 1, engagement. So we are actively establishing a steering committee to be able to help us guide the project throughout its completion and seeking feedback and input from the technical advisory committees as well as the community advisory committees, which that engagement started last week, and Slade will present on that in a few minutes. There will be several opportunities for public engagement and public feedback throughout the study, and we will have that information published in both English and Spanish to make that a little more accessible and get as much feedback as we can. And then, just like I'm doing today, we're going to be presenting to you, our committees, as well as our board to solicit your feedback and incorporate your thoughts into the study as we move forward. And then task 2 is data collection, which we are actively working on right now with our existing and planned trails, bike facilities, and sidewalks. We're looking at what's existing, as I mentioned earlier, constructed and on the ground and in use, as well as what's planned and what we could be expected to be constructed by 2050. And we're going to take that feasibility lens to the plans that have already been on the maps. That line may have been on the map for 20 years and things could have changed between when it was originally drawn and what's out there today. We want to make sure that that's still feasible, and that if it isn't, we make a couple adjustments for a opportunity that still serves the need and the purpose of the original line that was on the map. So we're also going to be looking at right-of-way information to help us with that feasibility analysis, as well as transit stop location and ridership data, because all of our transit riders are pedestrians at one point during their trip. Crash data, because safety is the primary focus here at MetroPlan Orlando, as well as demographic information and future land use and roadway network information. Knowing that our community is constantly growing and changing, we want to make sure that we're addressing needs for the population of today, as well as what we expect by 2050, and keeping equity in mind as we move forward. We'll also be doing a policy review to identify if there are any policies that could potentially limit the recommendations from the active transportation plan at the end of the work. So then tasks 3 and 4 are bicycle and pedestrian system planning efforts, where we're going to be doing that more technical work, beginning with the accessibility analysis. And that's going to be a way for us to measure the level of impact of different projects as we make those recommendations throughout the study. So for example, we could look at the number of jobs that are accessible by walking or biking. That's a measure that will help us to identify the usefulness and feasibility of those projects. We're going to be looking at level of traffic stress as well as pedestrian level of comfort to make sure that the facilities that we're recommending are ones that we expect people to actually use, a larger portion of the population. And then I mentioned opportunity areas a little bit earlier. That's where we're looking at potential utility easements for these facilities or alternate paths where we may not have right of way or room for trails on the existing, for the bicycles facilities, sidewalk facilities on the current network. So when I mentioned level of traffic stress, this is meant to talk about the level of comfort that people have when they're using these facilities. As an example, think of a bicycle lane on the side of a road, say 4 lanes with cars moving at a pretty high speed and there's a lot of traffic congestion. That would be a uncomfortable facility for a larger portion of the population. So we want to identify improvements that could either make that more comfortable, so that way more people would be using that facility, or identify a separate path that we could make more comfortable to be able to serve the needs of the majority of our population. So taking all of that and bringing it together, the active transportation plan will be comprised of a series of maps, both static as well as web-based and ideally interactive, infographics wherever we can share the information in that fashion that's a little more digestible for everybody, as well as technical reports, which we promise to try and keep concise. And then knowing that we're going to be incorporating results from our other modal plans that are currently in development, such as the TISMO master plan, and keeping in mind that the results will be incorporated into our 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. So all of that work is expected to be completed within the next 15 months or so. Right now, we're in that data collection and existing conditions phase, with the analysis and system planning occurring next summer, and a draft plan available for review by October of next year, with the final plan being adopted and published by December of 2023. And then I mentioned that there's a lot of opportunities for engagement, a lot of methods to be involved. We have started that initial engagement with our TAC and CAC workshops, which again, Slade will talk about in just a moment. And we're planning our first steering committee meeting within the next several weeks. And there will be other steering committee meetings throughout the life of the project, as well as a few public engagement periods and presentations just like this one throughout the duration of the study. And now we'll hand the microphone over to Slade Downs so he can talk about the workshops that occurred last week.
Thank you, Taylor. I'm Slade Downs. I'm a transportation planner at MetroPlan. You guys heard the little rundown on me earlier, so I won't go over already covered ground. But now I'll go ahead and tell you guys about how the workshop went. Things kicked off during the TAC and CAC committee meetings, respectively. We had our consultant on the project from Farron Piers give a very similar presentation to the one that you all just saw. We wanted to review the different bicycle facility types to just kind of create a even ground with everyone. I know a lot of different planners and a lot of different staffs use slightly different terms for different bicycle facility types. So we wanted to establish that right from the beginning to get everyone in agreement. Then we displayed some regional facility maps that included regional shared use paths, and then a additional map that showed cycle tracks and bicycle lanes. And we had those set up on boards to collect feedback. And we basically asked members to let us know, what kind of facilities that they are looking for in this plan, what kind of improvements and new, say, for example, a new bike lane out on First Street, or a shared use path along Main Boulevard. So after kind of going over that, we wanted to really do an accuracy check with all of the members of the TC and the CAC. Are there any facilities that we've identified that are one and should actually be another? Are there some that we've indicated as proposed that have now been constructed? Things of that nature. So then getting into the open house itself, we adjourned the committee meetings and led people out into the MetroPlan offices themselves. Those maps I was referring to earlier were printed on large boards so people could give their feedback directly. We had Seminole County in one conference room, Orange in another, and Osceola was out in the atrium by the planning section. And additionally, we have we had a website set up. We had these QR codes sprinkled all around so that members could give kind of more detailed feedback through our website. There's actually an interactive map where you can drop pins in a specific point to give really specific feedback. And both workshops were a pretty sound success, thankfully. We had members stay for almost a full hour at both workshops, giving comments right on the boards, putting Post-it notes down, proposing new facilities. We actually had a few people from the TAC pull out their laptops and actually get on the site right there during the workshop and leave just dozens of comments. So we got a lot of good feedback from those workshops. Here you can see kind of some of the more detailed, we really added a lot of ink to those boards. So that's the kind of specific feedback we're looking for. So all in all, pretty successful. We actually had a couple of members come up to us after the workshop was ending and saying they were really excited about more in-person involvement, kind of starved for that over the last 30 years. So that was really good to hear that not only were we getting the feedback, but people were excited about getting it. So moving forward, how will we use this feedback? We're going to incorporate it into all of the specific notes into the plan and our eventual analysis, and use that feedback to create these kind of maps in our analysis. This is an example of one that of kind of the product you'll be seeing in the draft plans and then the final plan. And with that, I just thank you for listening. Here is the contact information. As Taylor mentioned, she is the project manager, and Catherine Tellez is the project manager from our consultant. Happy to take any questions from you all, but just know this is very much the beginning. You will be hearing a lot of updates from us on this plan. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. And I swear we'll be nicer than the CAC with comments and questions.
Thank you.
Gardner, did you have a?
Yes, this is just a simple question. When I look at this is about bicycling and pedestrians, sorry about my voice. Do you ever, in regards to getting all of the feedback, are those persons that we're seeing in those workshops, are they bicyclists, and do they walk a lot? Like the feedback, who are the people that are giving the feedback? And I ask that for a particular reason. In my neighborhood, we have many people that bicycle because that's how they get from place to place every day.
Sure.
Even by walking. So I'm wondering if the feedback that you're getting is really authentic, because having to bike every day in and out of traffic versus walking on a Saturday morning or in an evening when you get off work, two different things. I'm just wondering who's giving the feedback.
Sure. So at these two workshops, it was specifically just our TAC and CAC members. I know that we have some bike ped advocates on those boards, and we have some transit advocates, but eventually we will be taking it to the public once we kind of incorporate the more technical committee feedback. Did you want to add on?
Yes, just to add to what Slade was saying, this is the very first step. We're getting started with our existing conditions analysis. We're making sure we're getting the conversation started on the right foot. Please pardon my pun. And after we've got the existing conditions set up, we're going to be taking that to the public in the January to March timeframe of 2023. So we can get that early feedback from the public as well. So that will be coming soon.
All right, Mayor Hanson.
How helpful has been Bike Walk Central Florida been in your data collection, and I'm sure you've had them involved.
Yes, so we are going to be inviting a representative from Bike Walk Central Florida to be on our steering committee. That email will be going out shortly after this meeting adjourns today. And again, we're very early in the study process. So this is kind of pre-existing conditions engagement that we're doing. So they will be involved through the steering committee as well as likely through the public engagement process as well.
I know our city has been real active in complete streets projects and that sort of thing. So I'm assuming you're dealing with all the local planners.
Yes. And that was the intent of the technical advisory committee workshop as well, to be able to help facilitate that conversation both in person and to follow up through our online engagement with our planning partners.
Okay. I think that covered part of mostly my first question was, who is the partnership? I saw there was a lot of committees, and then it said others. So, Bike Walk Central Florida is one of them. And I asked this because it's going to lead up to the next question. Is FDOT ever part of this?
Yes, so I'll talk about our membership for the steering committee. That's where we're having the most diversity. So we mentioned Bike Walk Central Florida, that advocacy voice being on our steering committee. We're inviting some of our local planners, FDOT, Safe Routes to School representatives, law enforcement, as well as health representatives to be able to bring a multifaceted approach to this conversation, as well as a representative from the disabled community.
Yeah. One thing I'd say is Ms. Garner makes a good point of, areas around Orlando that would be more walkable and bikeable is maybe a good place to go pick some people to be on, your general committees or whatever, your information. So in Maitland, and I asked this because in Maitland, FDOT did a traffic study and we did a workshop just like you were showing up there with the stickers and, where do you think this is most important? And we went through the whole thing. So then they came in and they have suggestions and I like their suggestions. And, and that suggestion would increase bikeability and walkability to our downtown area. So I wanted to know if you guys would be part of that studying committee also, or working with them. Is that like through the Metro plan?
Yes, we can definitely incorporate as many voices as possible. So if there's already an established committee, I can follow up with you to get their contact information to make sure that we get that engagement moving forward.
All right, beautiful. Thank you.
Councilmember, are you referring to the Maitland area-wide study?
Yes, off of I-4.
Yeah, basically 1792 Maitland Boulevard, Maitland Avenue, and then the local
Correct.
streets. Yeah, Taylor and I are involved, have already been involved in that, have been for the past year or so.
So when they did that presentation, there was involvement from you guys with suggestions. So
Correct. And
y'all are part of that.
They
Good.
provided some feedback on methodology, traffic impact and such.
That's awesome. Okay, thank you.
Kind of a follow-up question to that. Are we taking into account Lynx ridership and where some of those busy stops are? And I imagine there's a lot of pedestrian and bike access to those stops.
Yes, we're collecting that information right now, the Lynx ridership as well as stop location data.
Okay, because there's some of those that, it's just a bench on the side of the road. There's not even sidewalks or anything leading up to a lot of those, and a lot of them are pretty busy. When you guys get this updated information of the existing bike routes, is it possible to get that all uploaded into Google Maps? Because I see there's a lot of routes that are out there that people don't know about because it's not shown in Google Maps.
That's something we can explore. I haven't worked directly with Google myself yet, but we can see what options there are available to us to get that updated. When we get that existing conditions kind of set up and ready for the technical analysis next September, next summer, we'll be posting that information on our social pinpoint website so people can interactively go and look at where things are in an interactive map environment, leave their comments and help us get ready for that technical analysis.
Okay, perfect. Because I know that a lot of the smaller cities don't have the staff to do some of that. So it might be Might be better just to have it all uploaded at once for all of Central Florida for some of those routes.
Yes. Mhm.
Anyone else have any other questions? Okay.
Simply gonna ask if, and fair to say we'll get an update, say in 6 months, where you can come back and give us some of the preliminary data that you've gathered.
Mhm. Yes, we will definitely be coming
Keep
back to
us-
give you key updates throughout the study process. I'm even thinking there might be a fact sheet that we have ready for you when we're starting our first round of public engagement, so you can help spread the word on that as well. That would be the January to March timeframe.
Perfect. No other comments? All right, thank you all very much. There are several items under general information in tab 3 of your agenda packets. And a lot of those have the updates from the agency partners that are here as well. Our next MAC meeting will be December 8th here in the Metro Plan Orlando boardroom. Be nice to Mayor Dowlis as he will be chairing that meeting. And then the next Metro Plan Orlando board meeting will take place here as well on Wednesday, November 9th. At this time, do we have any committee members have any final comments or questions for staff? Oh,
I've got one comment. And I'll just make a comment for the rest of the members here. We had Ms. Lorraine Bobo up here and make a presentation to our full city commission last week. And she did a really great job. And for those of you that would like to hear that, I just would encourage you to invite her to do it. She did a great job.
and it was on safety, I imagine, like her.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And basketball, but
I didn't know she's into basketball.
no.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. Anyone else? All right. Are there any members of the public that wish to comment? Please use the raise hand function and you will be recognized, or dial *9 on your phone keypad. We will unmute your mic. After you're recognized, please state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 2 minutes or less. Are there any comments at this time from the public?
There are no hands raised on the virtual side, Mr. Chair.
We have not received any in the room.
All right. With that, at this time, there's no further business and we stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.